Alright, boys and ghoulies. Ghoulies 3. Ghoulies Go to College. I don't know. This is why I always wish I wasn't such a completist, because once I start a franchise, I can't not finish it. Now, I've said in the last two videos, I don't remember if I even ever saw this film. I know I've seen clips because I know they speak. And devotees will know that I don't like that. I've said that many times already. We have John Carl Buechler here, who did the effects for the first two movies, and I'm pretty sure for this movie also. He's directing, he also directed Friday Part 7. Everyone should know who John Carl Buechler is. So if you haven't seen Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to College, this is where I put a synopsis briefly in, but I don't really remember seeing it either, so I can't give one. But I'm pretty sure there's like someone summons the Ghoulies at college during like a prank week. And then they just wreak havoc all over the place. That's all you have to know going into this. Are you kidding? I did just read, though, interestingly, this is Matthew Lillard's first film. So he must have some small-ass little role in this. So I'll be looking for him like, where's Waldo? Now, this was released straight to video. And, I mean, I don't think anyone needed me to say that. But who knows? It's John Carl Buechler directing. He's an excellent effects artist, as we know. Hopefully, maybe the effects at least are good in this, but I don't know how I'm going to get past the talking. So, I mean, this is going to be rough, but let's talk Ghoulies 3. Now, different from the first two, this has nothing to do with Empire or Charles Band or anything like that. I think he actually sold the rights to Ghoulies to save Empire because, like, the company was almost in bankruptcy or something like that. And then he ended up starting Full Moon a few years after that, 89, 88 or so, because Puppet Master was their first movie from 89. But yeah, no Charles Band, so this is still in the vein of Full Moon-esque films like the first two, but it's a lot more ridiculous, which brings me to kind of a point that I talk about a lot on here, because we know that my thoughts on this movie are not going to end well by the end of this video. So what makes movies like this enjoyable for me and others, to the extent that you don't question all the stupid stuff and try to add logic to it like I always do, compared to movies that are similarly ridiculous in every single way? But for some reason, I don't do that with those, and just whatever. I love these movies. There's different levels of stupid and absurd in like B horror movies or less graded horror movies. Very, very different categories, actually, for levels of stupidity. There's ones I'm willing to accept. There's ones I'm willing to look past because I love the movie. There's ones that I love the movie, but it's still stupid as hell. And then there's some that I just, even if I like the movie, it's all retarded. So, I don't know. I always try to figure that out. What makes me hypercritical, like on logic and continuity mistakes and stuff in certain cheesy movies, and what makes me completely disregard them in others. So yeah, we're at a college, or as friends of mine from that other country that they think they're superior than us call university, and there is a big prank week war going on between all the fraternities and stuff, which of course is going to lead to some fun, awesome hijinks among a bunch of frat and sorority people, right? Ooh, yeah, this is going to be rough. A lot rougher than the last one, which is fun. And that's what I mean when I brought up a little bit ago about what is it that will separate, and I'm not putting in my head that this is going to suck completely, but what is it that separates the first movie and even the second one from one like this, aside from being a direct-to-video, and the budget is, of course, much lower. But we get this prank in the very beginning, where there's the custodian on the university, and he's using the mop bucket. And then he turns around to tie his shoe or something. He's like literally 4 or 5 feet away from the bucket. Some dude comes and takes the screw out of the mop while it's in the bucket, pulls the handle out, and then sneaks away. No one in this scene has any kind of situational awareness or anything like that, because he just, first of all, doesn't hear 4 feet away from him that there's first somebody behind him, and two, that they're messing around with his bucket. He leaves, he goes, starts messing with the bucket, mop handle comes out, and the bucket goes flying down the stairs. Some dude falls into the bucket. It looks like Kane Hodder, but it's not. And he starts sliding. A professor's walking, conveniently reading a paper, and he gets smashed right into. And then the guy's sitting with his girlfriend. They're laughing at the whole thing, and one of the books comes and lands right on his fucking And I don't know. So this like hippie burnout dude is in the bathroom stall sitting on the toilet, which of course toilets are a reoccurring thing in the Ghoulies franchise, and his foot kicks the wall and a bit of tile comes out and there's a old comic book there called Ghoulish Tales. He pulls it out. Now you can just summon the Ghoulies from a fucking comic book from who knows when it released, but how any of this works, they don't even try to explain any of it. They just want to hop into the Ghoulies wreaking havoc all over this place. So he just starts reading this comic book, and again, like, why? If anyone else had this same comic book, wouldn't there be Ghoulies all over the fucking planet? Because they would have been summoned every time that somebody read this comic? I don't know, whatever. Then you see nice green lighting come out of the toilet in the stall next to him. You see Ghoulie hand come out. That looks pretty cool. I mean, it's almost 4 a.m. I got my second thing of coffee here for this movie. Should have had the meth they smoke in A Perfect Getaway from the last video. No methamphetamine was used in the creation of this video. So there's these two, I guess, the biggest fraternities on campus, and they have like a war against each other for years in these prank wars. If you think there's a goddamn name for anyone in this movie coming, I'm not remembering a single name from this movie. So Skip seems to be the main character here, and he is the head of one of the warring factions of fraternities. So everybody's in class, and then they have this old professor who threatens both fraternities that if I catch you guys doing one more prank, this is the year, you guys are done, we're throwing you out. And he's teaching his little class. He comes to the student who found the Ghoulish Tales comic. He starts reading it again, and then we get another flashback to the Ghoulie coming out of the toilet again. So weren't they summoned already when the kid read it? Or did they get summoned, they got bored, they went back in the toilet, then he read it, he came back? It doesn't matter. But the float that they pranked the teacher with, the big alligator pool float, had that exact same one as a kid. So that just taps some nostalgia there. Oh, is that, what's his name from Stuart Gordon's Dolls? The real innocent older guy? It wasn't. He's not like old, but the innocent dude who becomes friends with the kid. He brings the two ladies of the night or whatever with him that he picked up on the road, and then he gets to leave with the girl at the end of the movie. He has a very small role in this. It looks like him. Again, not true. I can be completely wrong, and it's not him one bit, but now it's making me want to watch a much better film. And because it is a B-rated, cheesy, direct-to-video horror film set at a college campus, there are a bunch of fun tits throughout it. I mean, I don't know if there's a difference between fun and normal tits, but they're in here, so that's a positive. Okay, what in God's name did they do to the Ghoulies in this movie? Jesus. I said in the last video, when they're tying one of the people down and he gets killed by the pendulum, they're like the size of a 12, 13, 14-inch sneaker. In this, they're like almost the size of some of the human beings they're going up against. What is that change? I don't like that one bit. And the voices, it's terrible. Terrible. All the dialogue from them is, I knew it was going to be bad, but this is really bad. Like, especially coming off the first two films, when you look at this and you hear them talking with terrible wisecracks, this isn't good. Whatever, while we're at it, we didn't talk about this or bring this topic up. They always are summoned and they come out of the toilets. So like I said in the very first Ghoulies, my video for that, it's like he's summoning from like the mediocre Book of Demons. What type of demons you want to summon that come out of a fucking toilet? I don't know. Like, they could have thought of a better idea for that with the Ghoulies. So they're going around killing people. This is going to be short. But don't get me wrong. The puppets and the puppetry and the effects, it looks good. It looks very good. The way the puppets move around, them talking, despite it being not good to me in the slightest, and I don't want to hear them ever speak, the effects work is good. The main green one's wearing a backwards baseball cap. They all got like different clothes and cute shirts on. Adorable. Cool idea to have them getting drunk. They stumble upon a whole bunch of beer. Like a whole garbage pile. And they start chugging beers and stuff. That's a cool idea. And then they think that a can is beer and it's like Drano or Drain-X or something. And he starts chugging it, and then like you hear like a choo-choo train engine. Woo! And he's coughing, smoke and stuff's coming out of his mouth. And then the other Ghoulie says, let me try. He starts drinking. That's all great stuff. That's good. And yeah, we're not even going to get into how this smaller Ghoulie is able to carry a sledgehammer or anything like that. So the professor, he's the one, because then he read it a third time, and that's what finally summoned the ghoulies. So I don't know if you got to read this whole comic book in order to summon them. And I mean, who knows how many people in the past read the entire comic book. So maybe that's the explanation for why ghoulies didn't take over the planet yet. But he thinks he's like their master because he summoned them, and he's like, you're linked to this comic. I knew it. I can destroy you. So there's a whole subplot there. The pranksters on both fraternities, they think at first that the ghoulies are pranks by the other team. Like, there's some interesting stuff in here, but I mean, it's mostly terrible in every way. Okay, so then we get a cool effects scene, but this is a good example for my point. We get a scene that we see kind of a similar thing in the first movie, where you see the father, the occult dude, who was brought back from the son, who inherits the house. We see him, like, I said shapeshift in that video, but I then turn into a woman. And then he shoots his tongue out and wraps around the person's throat and kills him, and he bleeds for some reason. You get something similar here. Like the secretary or whoever she is to the professor, the ghoulies are in the room, they're all there together, and they pull the woman's tongue out of her mouth, way out of her mouth. It's stretching like 8 feet. He's holding it, the ghoulie, and stuff like that, and then he finally lets it go, and it snaps back, and she spins around. It looks okay, but that's my point. This is retarded. But in the first movie, it's a cool effect. I look past it. Why? What makes me look past stuff like that in the first movie or similar films like that, and I just hate it in a movie like this? If anyone has any input on any of this, or if you feel the same way with a lot of movies like I do, and crisscross on what makes sense, what doesn't, what matters, what doesn't matter, let me know. But that seems ridiculously stupid is my point. We even have the ghoulies peeping on one of the college girls. They're enjoying the tits and ass in this movie too. Alright, now this is something... This calls back to a video I did on Slumber Party Massacre 3 over a year ago. So, one person, Chris Carpenter and your wife, if you ever stumble upon this one and see this video, you'll be brought back to then. We have a whole slumber party here at the sorority. And I said in that video, has anyone, females out there who watch, has anyone ever been to a female slumber party where it's just everyone in panties and no shirts on and they're just playing pillow fights and stuff like that? Has it ever happened in reality to anyone out there? Let me know, because the answer from them back at that video was no. So I'd love to hear a yes, maybe. When Skip and his girl discover the body of the secretary with the tongue that's stretched out, wrapped around her, the dialogue delivery is atrocious. Like, a lot of the dialogue, the acting in this is all bad. But some of the lines in that scene specifically, real hilariously atrocious. Then, of course, just like in the second movie at the end, they had to summon a bigger demon, that big ghoulie that looks awesome. They had to one-up it in this one and summon some even bigger thing. And for some reason, also a guy who looks like a circus jester or something like that. I don't know. None of it makes sense. But the big ghoulie thing, it looks like its stomach has a face and it's talking. It kind of looks like the pig monster from the Power Rangers show, the original, back in the day. If anybody remembers it, looks like Pigman. And then they end up sending the ghoulies back to hell somehow. I'll be honest, I really trailed off the last 15 minutes here. It got to the point, I don't know if anyone's ever done this, when you're watching a movie that you're not enjoying really at all, and you start fantasizing things that would have been better in the movie, so you kind of start watching your own version of the film in your head instead of paying attention to what's going on. That's what happened there. But Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to College, it's not good. I mean, if that didn't come across already, not good at all. It's a fun movie. It would be a fun film to just have on in the background, just to glance at once in a while. Preferably on mute, so you don't have to hear any of them speaking. And maybe if you're messing around on your phone or a laptop and you don't really have to watch it or anything like that. But it's fun. It's mindless stupidity. But, I mean, what did you expect from Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to College? So Ghoulies 4, I don't know. I don't know when that's happening, or if it should even happen, but it's going to. The only thing that gives me any hope is Jim Wynorski directed it, which, I mean, he's one of the kings of 80s, 90s, just schlocky low grade, B-rated, cheesy ass horror movies, Sorority House Massacre 2, and it goes on and on and on with Jim Wynorski. So that gives me a little bit of hope. But we had John Carl Buechler directing here, and this sucked. So, all right, guys. Hope you're having a good morning, afternoon, or night. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care, everybody. All right, Boils and Ghoulies. That's stupid. If you think there's a goddamn name for anyone in this movie coming, I'm not remembering a single name from this movie. So our main guy, Skip. So Skip, our main character here. Fuck it, while we're at it. Ghoulies 4. Oh, I don't know.